guys, this is Dan Hay. I'm the executive producer and creative director on Far Cry 5. I think the idea of taking Far Cry to America has been around for a while. I mean, for the last 5 years, I know that the team has talked about it, and I don't know that the time was right. I don't know that we knew exactly how to pull it off. And I'd say about 2.5 to 3 years ago, things started to align and make sense. And the team that had made Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4 started to work on this and say, okay, where do we want to take it? Where do we want to put it? And we want to put it in America. And we want to put it in a frontier, in a place that feels a little bit off the beaten path, but familiar. And so Montana just felt right. There's no question that when you think about Far Cry and you remember characters like Voss and characters like Peg and Min and the different characters that are in the game, that people really gravitate towards that, and they know that we know how to make a really good villain. I think this time it's not just about making one villain, it's about making kind of a concert of these guys. And so without giving too much away, we want to be able to make it so that there's almost a family of people that you need to worry about. And when you meet them, they all have their own specific job and their own specific reflex, and each and every one of them is difficult to beat. I think so. I think that, you know, there's a lot of characters in this game, and there's a lot of different people that you're going to meet. There's going to be a lot of people that, just like life, you go out into life, you meet a lot of different people, you meet a lot of different opinions, they have different skills, and I think that as you traverse the world, you're going to run into these action bubbles of people and what it is that their agendas are that will go, depending on which one of these characters you're going against, you're going to author your own experience. I think that if you think about it in classical terms, like Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 4, I think that it's easy to kind of look at the father and go, okay, that's Darth Vader, right? But I think the truth of the matter is that it's more complex than that. We built this cult, and the thing that we learned about cults is that it's easy to look at one person and think that's the leader, but the truth is that there's a group of people underneath that make this organization work the way that it does. And so each one of these people plays a role. And that was a big theme for us, that yes, for sure, they have this unique and magnetic leader at the top, but underneath are these people who each have their own personality, each have their own agenda, each have the thing that they're good at, the thing that they're not good at, and they're in the world with purpose. And when you kind of scratch at them, they scratch back. Oh man, it's big. Specifics of the map, I can't tell you exactly how big it is, but I can tell you that when people are playing the world and they're going through the world, they're authoring it in a dynamic way. So basically in previous Far Cries, you would pretty much go through and have a very, or at least a feeling of a linear story. Yeah. And what's interesting about what's happening when people are playing this world is that they're authoring the experience in their own way. And they're snacking on things, or they're going through the world in a certain way that they're spending a lot of time maybe in one region, or they're really loving one element of this type of character who's a guns for hire as they build their group. And so it really depends on how you play. For me personally, I like to plane. I like to be able to get into a plane and be able to do dogfights in the sky. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this or not, but I absolutely want to do dogfights in the sky. And just the idea that I can land, I can land on water, I can do strafing, I can do bombing attacks. If I want to, I can use that plane as a weapon and call Nick and basically have him bomb stuff that I want to be able to bomb. For me, that's cool. Or maybe getting in a classic car. We want the world to feel real, right? So we want you to feel like you're traversing through the world and that it behaves in a natural, at least a semi-natural way, and that the rules that you or I would know would be applicable, and that, so, you know, day and night cycle, the idea of people with jobs, the idea with people with agendas, animals that make sense for where they're supposed to be, and just so that you kind of understand the rules before you even pick up the controller. I think that it's an interesting idea that when you think about just the concept behind the game and the idea that these people are thinking that the end of the world is going to happen and that they're kind of preparing for it, it makes sense, and I can't give too much away, that there are people in the world who maybe have homes and maybe places where they've been preparing, or that they're at least thinking about this. In terms of one base of operations, I won't talk to that, but what's really cool is when you actually meet a person in the world and they have an agenda and they've already been dealing with this problem with the cult, and maybe they have a plan, and you can basically invest in their plan, or you can take your own plan And when you meet them, they're unique. I think it's maybe the setting for me. I don't think anybody was expecting us to take it to America, and I certainly don't think anybody was expecting us to take it to Montana. And sometimes you kind of have to be brave, and you have to do what people aren't expecting. And just the fact that there's a ton of stuff to do in the game, but there's something powerful about the setting and the idea that the thing that happens in your own backyard is maybe even more dangerous than something that happens 1,000 miles away. The game will take place in the moment that it comes out. It's designed to be sort of lockstep. It's our world and it's our Montana, but I really do feel passionately about the idea that the characters that exist in the world have lived the same or similar to 2.5 to 3 years that we're living right now. And so it feels real and approachable.
Okay, well, thank you so much for doing this interview. If you guys want to know more about Far Cry, check out farcrygame.com.